Again, welcome to Java programming language. This is CS 102 class. In this lectures, we're going to cover classes and objectives. Again, how to use classes and objective in Java programming language. This lectures cover chapter 3 of our course textbook. So our main objective is to learn how to create an object using classes and also what is an object references. We're also going to learn how to use Java predefined classes. These are the classes that came with Java programming language, which we normally call the Java API. API stands for Application Program Interface. So we shall go through the string class, random class, and also the math classes. These are all classes that comes with, again, Java programming language. So first we start with creating objects. Here we said a variable holds either primitive value or a reference to an object. We covered the concept of a variable in our previous lectures, chapter 2, and how we can assign values to a variable. And we also discussed about different types of variables or data type. For example, an int, double, long, these are all primitive data types. So if we declare a variable and the data type is a primitive data type, it means the value will be stored in that very particular variable. Now, a reference variable normally holds the address where, again, the actual value is stored. And we shall discuss the two, the difference between primitive and also reference. So a class name can be used as a type, same as the primitive data type, for example, int or integer. We can declare variable as an integer. So here also we can create an object and the object type will be the class name. So an example here given is a string title. So the title, for example, will be the variable name. And the data type of the variable is the class name, which is a string. Now, in this case, no object yet is created. This is just a declaration of the variable title, but an object has not yet been created. Now, with primitive type, we may have, for example, int num. Then we can assign a value to the variable num. Or we may use the scanner class to let the user enter a value using the keyboard to the variable. The same concept here. But here, in order to create the reference variable type, which we can say the object, we have to use a special keyword called the new. So again, this is a string title. This means no object is created with this declaration. An object reference variable holds the address of an object. As we said, the primitive variable will hold the value, but a reference or an object reference variable will hold the address of where the specific values are stored. So the object itself must be created separately. So next is generally we use, as we said, the new operator to create an object. Now, creating an object, we use the term instantiation. So creating an object is called instantiation. An object is an instance of a particular class. Now, in these lectures, we are discussing how to use a predefined classes. These are classes that comes with Java programming language. In our future lectures, we are going to learn how to create a user-defined classes. So now we can create for example, we can create a class named employee, or we can create a class named a person. And normally a class consists of two things, the data members and also the methods. Normally the data members, we can use the instant variables. That will be the characteristics of employee, if it's employee class. Then the method will be the behavior of the employee. So example, we can calculate the salary, we can check employee address, name, etc. So this is the syntax in Java to create an object. Here we can see that we are using the keyword new. That is the main key here. Then we have the class name and then the argument. And normally we'll call this the constructor. So this calls the string constructor. A constructor is a special method that normally initialize the object that we are creating. So here we say this calls the string constructor, which is a special method that sets up the object. So normally we can create this using one line. So we start with the string title equal to new string, then Java software solution. Now, how do we invoke methods? Here we say we have seen that once an object has been instantiated, we can use the dot operator to invoke its methods. So for example, the string class have a lot of methods. So if I create an object and the object type is a string, it means that object can use all the methods that belongs to the string class, but it cannot use any method that doesn't belong to the string class. Actually, that's why we use the term method. A method means is a function that belongs to a specific class. So for example, here we have our object named title, which we create earlier time. Let's go back once. This is the creation of the title object. First, we declare it, declaration of the title. Then second, we create it. Now, the object title can use any method that belongs to the string class. So here we have title.length. And length is a special method that belongs to the string class, and it will return the number of characters in the string. So a method may return a value which can be used in an assignment or an expression. A method invocation also can be thought of as asking an object to perform a service. So here we are asking length to return the number of characters stored in the title object. Then we assign the answer to a variable named numChar. numChar's data type should be int because the length will be in a value. So let's go through more explanation on the references. Here we said we should note that a primitive variable, again, contains the value itself. A primitive variable such as int num. Num is a primitive variable because the data type is a primitive type. And it always contains its value that we assign to it. But an object variable contains the address of an object. So an object references can be thought of as pointer to a location of the object. So the diagram here will show us, here we have num1. Num1 data type is int. It carries 38. So we can see the value is located in the num1 variable. But name1, the data type is a string. It's an object reference variable. So which means it's going to carry the address where the string Steve Jobs is stored. Another example here, for example, we have num1 is 38, num2 is 96. Now, if I assign num1 to num2, remember, this is a primitive data type, so we are going to overwrite the value in num2 to num1. So now num2 becomes 38, but we can see we have two separate locations. Num1, different variable 38, num2, different variable 96. But after we assign num1 to num2, it means we are giving the value 38 to num2. Num2 value changes to 38. That is for primitive type. So we say the act of assignment takes a copy of a value and you store it in a variable. Now let's see the reference type. In a reference type, let's say we have name1 and name2. We can see that they are two different locations. Name1 have the address of Steve Jobs, where it's located. Name2 have the address of Steve Wozniak, where it's located. Now, if I assign num1 to num2, what I'm doing is that I'm going to change the address, the direction, or the location of there, but we are not going to change the content. So here we can see now name2 is pointing to Steve Jobs. This means we have two variables pointing to the same location. And normally we call this the aliases, alias, when we have two variables. So that's aliases when you have two or more references that refer to the same object. We call it aliases of each other. That creates an interesting situation. So one object can be accessed using multiple reference variables now. So aliases are very useful, but we should be very careful in managing it. Since here in this case, we can have like 4 or 5 references pointing to the same object. And I'll use the term variable, reference variable pointing to the same object. So changing an object through one reference also changes it for all of its references. So example here, if I change the reference of name1, it also changed the references of name2. So we should be very careful using it. Next, we talk about the garbage collection. Now, if you have an object, for example here, let's go back, we have an object and we dereference the object, which is name1, is no more pointing to any object. That means name1 is waste, it's no more in usage. It's waste of memory. Now, the good news is that in C++, we have to use the delete keyword to delete the content. But in Java, we have what we call the garbage collection automatic. So here we say that when an object no longer has any valid references, so the object is on references to it, it can no longer be accessed by the program. So the object is useless. Therefore, we use the term garbage. Now, Java performs automatic garbage collection. So when a reference or an object is useless or it's no more a reference to it, the program cannot access it or cannot even use it. So the Java garbage collection will automatically delete it. So in other languages, the programmer is responsible for performing the garbage collection. As I said, in C++, the programmer have to delete it using the keyword delete. In Java, it's automatically done for us. So now let's move to the string class. As we said earlier, a string class is a built-in class. It's a predefined class. Java program comes with a string class. Normally, we will use the term packages. A packages consists of a number of classes. And this comes with Java program. So because strings are so common, we don't have to use the new operator to create it, as we saw the earlier example. So for example, previously we say string space start or equal to new string, then we have the parentheses open, Java software solution, we close it. Yeah, that's correct. That's how we always going to create an object. But string is again a special class that we don't need to use the new object. So basically I can say string, it's like declaring a primitive data type and assigning value to it. So I have a string title equal to, assign the string to it. So this is a special syntax that works only for strings, almost like a primitive data type, declare and assign value to it. Now each string enclosed in a double quote represents a string object. Now a string have a lot of methods. That's a string class have a lot of methods. For example, we have a method to check the length, which is number of characters. We also have a method to convert the characters to lower cases, or from upper cases to lower cases, or lower cases to upper cases. We also have a method that can join two strings together, or we have a method which we call the substring to get part of the strings from the whole string. And we may discuss this more detail. So here we say once a string object has been created, neither its value nor its length can be changed. So a string is therefore immutable. You can change it. But for example, I can use the substring method to get part of the string, not the whole string. However, there are several methods of the string class that will return a new string object that are modified version of the original. So when we create a string, as we said, we can't change it. It's immutable. But we have a lot of methods that come with the string class that make it possible for us to modify the string. And we have something we call the string indices. The string indices will be the position of each character of the string or each symbols of the string. So here we say it's occasionally helpful to refer to a particular character within a string. This can be done by specifying the character's numeric index. Indices always start from 0. So for example, we have LO here, and the index of H is 0, the index of E is 1, L is 2, another L3, and O is 4. So this means we have a string. The index is from 0 to 4, and the number of characters is 5. So let's see an example of a program here. This program is called the string mutation.java. This program will demonstrate the use of string class and also some of its method. So our main class name again is a string mutation. Why? Because the name of the file is string mutation.java. So that's our main class name. And here we have only the main method. So the first thing we do here is that we declare, as we said earlier, string is the only object that we can create. String class, we can create the object without using the new operator. So here you can see that we are creating a string object named phrase, but we didn't use new. We assigned a string to it. Then we have string object name mutation1, mutation2, mutation3, mutation4. So first we use the system.out.println to print original string. The original string is what we have here. Change is inevitable. Then secondly, we want to know the length of the string. So we're going to print out the length of the string, which means we have to use the length method. And in order to invoke the length method, we have to include the object. So the object again name is phrase. So we have phrase.length. This will give us the number of characters in the object phrase. Also, we should remind that a space is a character. So for example, here we have 2 spaces, it will be included. Next, we are going to use the concat. The concat method of a string class join 2 strings together. So here we have a phrase dot concat, and now we are going to join. First of all, we have a phrase. Phrase is change is inevitable. We are going to join it with a new string here, a set from vending machine. So if we print mutation1 here, our output will be change is inevitable, comma, space, a set from vending machine, because we're using the method concat to join the string of phrase with what the string that we have in the parentheses. Next, we change mutation1, all the characters to uppercase. So we are using the method to uppercase. Again, we have to start with the object name first. So we are mutation1 object is invoking the to uppercase. So we are going to change the content of mutation1 to uppercase. We assign it to an object named mutation2. Next, we are replacing mutation2. Anywhere we see E, we will replace it with X. So the replace method takes 2 arguments. What you want to replace with what? So we are replacing E with X. Then as we said, we also have a method named substring. A substring will give us part of the string. So here we say we need a substring from 3 and 30, which means the index will start from 3 and it will end at 30. So here, CHA will not be printed 0, 1, 2. It will start printing from N. N is number 3 going up to the 30th. So after that, we're going to print everything. So we print mutation1, mutation2, mutation3, mutation4. Then last, we check the length of mutation4 also. So here we have system.out.println, mutated length. mutation4.length. It will give us the character. So let's look the output. So we can see the original string as we saw it earlier, it was changed is inevitable. Then we call the length method to give us the length of the phrase object. So change is inevitable is 20 characters. So the answer is 20. Now we did a concat. We join change is inevitable with a set from vending machine. So it print all as once. Then remember, after that, we change the characters to uppercase. So mutational 1 dot to uppercase. The method to uppercase, we change all the characters in mutation 1 to uppercase. And remember, mutation 1, we join the phrase, which is change is inevitable, with the string in the parentheses, except from vending machine. So that's why we have order. Then second, if we remember, we change, anywhere we see E, we change it with X. So here we said replace E with X. So you can see the output here. Inevitable, we have E, now is X. Then the next, we can see also that we find a substring. As we said earlier, the substring, we start with 3. So this means we are going to start with N, 0, 1, 2, 3, N, to 30. So that's where N start from. So from NGX, remember here we have X because we change the E to X, replace E with X. So what we're doing, we're getting a substring of this, the last string here, which is mutation 3, because when we look at the code, it's mutation 3 object.substring. I can say mutation 1 dot substring, which means I'll go to mutation 1 original and it will start from lowercase ng to reach 30. And that's what is here. And the last one, we get the full characters or the characters. So that is what is here now. Mutated length is mutation 4.length. So it gave us the number of characters for mutation 4. So that's a very good example for, again, our string class. Again, in this section, we use a couple of the method that belongs to string class. Example again, to uppercase. We also have to lowercase. We didn't use to lowercase. We can also use char at to look for a specific location of a character, etc. There are so many, again, methods. Now, there's a question here. They say, what output is produced by the following? So we have a string named str. We assign this string to it. So dot length, it will give us the length of this string. Dot substring 7, it will give us the first 7 characters. So it will be space 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, comma 6, and another space. To uppercase, we are going to change all the string to uppercase. And the length, it will give us all the length. Now, when we have a substring and we say 7, it means we need the first 7 characters, 0, 1, 2 dropped. But if we say 3 to 4, it means we need the 3rd index up to the 4th index. So let's see the output here. As we can see, the first we have the length is 26. The second, we want to take a substring, only 7 characters. Then we have to uppercase. Then we have the length again, 26. So next is going through what we call the random class and also the math class. Now we say here a class library is a collection of classes that we can use when developing programs. And this again comes with the Java programming language. The Java standard class library is part of any Java development environment. Its classes are not part of the Java language per se, but we also rely on them heavily. Various classes we have already used. For example, in chapter 1, 2, we use the system class for printing, system.out.println, etc. We also use the scanner class to get an input from a keyboard. We can also use the scanner class to get an input from a file, which we will do in the future. Then also we saw the string class. These are all part of Java standard class library. It comes with Java programming. And normally we use the term package. So Java class library is sometimes referred to as a Java API. Again, Java application program interface. And we have a cluster of related classes, which are sometimes referred to as a specific API. So for example, we can say Java FS API. Normally Java FS API consists a lot of classes that we can use to develop Java window program, graphical user interface program, more or less like a real world Windows program. Then we also have a database API. This consists of a lot of classes that we can use to manipulate database system with a Java program. Also the connectivity of a Java program with a database system. The most common one is called a Java JDBC. So here we say that the Java API, we should be very comfortable using online Java API documentation. Again, Java belongs to Oracle. If you Google Oracle Java, there are documentations online. You come across so many different predefined classes and their methods. And there's examples given also. So what is a package now? I will use the term the package is the whole Java classes. So for the purpose of accessing them, classes in the Java API are organized into packages. So for example, we may have a package for Java FX. Java FX package consists of many Java classes that we can use to develop different types of window. Because for example, if we are developing a window program, maybe we may need a test, we may need labels, we may need buttons. These are all, again, classes. So button class is in Java FS, the test, the label, etc. So this often overlap with specific API. Example, we have a package java.lang. This is a general support. So normally when you create a program, you don't need to import java.lang. It comes. Also, we have java.util, which is the utilities. So example, the scanner class, the math class, they belongs to java.util. We also have java.net. This is for networking communication. If you are creating a Java program and you want to implement a networking communications, then you can use this package. And as we said, Java FX is for graphical shapes. Also, we have Java FS scene control, which is the most common, that's graphical user interface controls also. So FS also, we can use it to draw shapes, which consists of different classes of drawing different shapes. Now, the most important thing we should know here is that most of the predefined classes, as we mentioned earlier, majority of them, we need to import the package. So for example, if I want to use the scanner class, I will import the utility package. Now, if I want to use the math class belongs to java.lang. Java.lang, we normally don't import it. If I want to use the system.out.println or the system class, I don't need to import the java.lang. Now, if as we say import java.util.asterisk, it means you are going to import all the classes into your program. So you can use all the classes in utility package. Now, if I say import java.util.scanner, it means I'm only importing scanner class, so I can only use the scanner class. All classes of java.lang package are automatically imported into our program. So very rare, we don't need to write import java.lang. As we said, the system class to print statement belongs to the package lang, that we don't need to import it. In scanner class, as we said earlier, we need to import the utility package. So next we talk about the random class. So a random class is part of Java utility package also. So if I want to use the random class, I need to import the java.util. Now, what we mean by random class is that it's going to generate any random values for us. And depends on our argument, we can generate any random numbers. By default, it will generate numbers between 0 to 1 to a little bit less than 1. But I can add plus 10, minus 20, etc. Or any value. You can do addition, multiplication, any value, and you can import any value. So let's see an example here. And again, random is generating any random numbers. So here we import the java.util.random. Now, if we like, we can just say java.util.asterisk, which means we import all the classes. So I can use random. I can even decide to use scanner also. So you can see in this program, we are not going to use a scanner class because we only import the random class. And this program basically will generate or demonstrate how we can use the random class. So here we create our random class object name generator. Now with random class, we need to use the new keyword to create the object of it. Except string class, we don't have. String class, we can use the new and we may decide not to use it. So here we have our object generator. The object type is the random class. We also declare two variables, num1, num2, int, and float. So the first thing we do here is that we say generator.nestInt. Since generator is an object and the type of object is random class, it's going to generate any random integer values for us. Now, next, a random integer. So here we print it, system.out.println. We print any random number generated for us. It will be an int number. Next, we said generator.nestInt10. Now here, since we put 10 here, it's going to generate any number between 0 to 9. Then here we say nest 10 plus 1, which means, as we know, if we say 10 from 0 to 9, so that it will generate only one number. Let's go back. Here we say nest generator.nestInt10. It will generate any number between 0 to 9. So if we say plus 1, instead of starting from 0, we're going to start from 1. Instead of ending at 9, we end at 10. So the same thing here, we say nestInt 15 plus 20. So this means we are going to generate any number from 20 to 34. Then 20 minus 10, we are going to get minus 10. So it will generate number between minus 10 to 9. The plus here means the beginning. So you can see 10 plus 1, we start from 1 to 10. 15 plus 20, we start from 20 to 34. From 20 to 34 will give us 15 numbers. Now, when we say 20 minus 10, we start minus 10. Minus 10 to 9, we generate, have a range of a value up to 20. And the same thing, random float between 0 to 1 plus num2. Now, here you see generator.nestFloat, there's nothing. So if there's nothing, it will generate a number between 0 to 1. But it will be a float value, a decimal value. Same thing, we have the nestInt with no value. It generates a number up to 1, but int. Next, we multiply by 6. So this is again different now. The number we generate, we multiply by 6. So if we go up to 1, it means it's 0.999. So multiply by 6 will give it 5.999. So let's look at the outputs. The first one we saw, this is randomly generated. So these are the possible numbers generated for us. 6, 7, 9, 2, 8, 1, 6, 8, 3. Then secondly, from 0 to 9, it gave us only 0. The next one generate only 3. The next one 30 minus 4. You have to generate only one number at a time. And we can go back here and see. So beginning, we have generator.nestInt to generate. Then the random integer is the number plus whatever number was generated, we print it. Then we keep going. So this is an example here. Here we have our random object named gen. So we say gen.nestInt 25, 6 and 1, 110, 50 and 100. And so let's look. 25, of course, is one number. So the range will be 0 to 24. 6 and then plus 1. So instead of 0 to 5, it will be 1 to 6. 100 plus 10. Instead of starting from 0 to 99, start from 0 plus 10, it will be 10. So it start from 10 to 109. And same thing apply 50 plus 100. So we go from 100 to 149, which will be, the range is 50. Minus 5, we start from minus 5 to 4, because again, the range from minus 5 to 4 is 10. 22 plus 12, that means we go from 12 to 33. From 12 to 33, the possible numbers are 22. So here we should write an expression that produces the random integer in the following range. So if I need from 0 to 12, then I'm just going to put 13. I'm going 0 to 12. Any number, it will generate only one number from 0 to 12, so 13. I'm going to start from 1. If I put 20, it's going to generate 0 to 19. So I had 1 to it to start from 1 to 20. Same thing, I'm starting 15 to 20. 15 to 20 will give me 6 values, 15, 6. So 6 plus 15. Minus 10 to 10. Minus 10. We start from minus 10, and it should be 11. So minus 10 to 0 will give me 11 ranges. So the last is the math class. Also, as we said, the math class belongs to the Java API classes or library files. So a math class is part of java.lang, which means if I want to use it, I don't need to import the package. The math class also contains methods that perform various mathematical functions. For example, how to find an absolute value, to find a square root, to find exponential, or trigonometry functions such as sine, tan, cosine, etc. So let's see some example here. Here we have math.cos90. This means I'm going to look for the value of cosine 90. Instead of writing the method to look for a value of cosine 90, I use the cosine method that belongs to the class. So here we say the method of math class are static method, also called the class method. Static method are invoked through the class name. So you can see here, we didn't create an object. In the random class, remember what we did? We create a random object. Then when we want to invoke it, we use the random object with the type of values we want to generate. But when we are using a math class, we don't create an object for it. So that's why it's called, the math class object are called static methods. Because in order to invoke the math class method, you start with the math class itself, so math. And let's see a very good example here. So this program will again demonstrate how to use the math class to perform calculations. So we declare 3 variables, A, B, C. And also we have discriminant. This is a quadratic equation, root 1, root 2. So we create an input object named scan. I'm not going through this because we already understand the code here. For example, the scan object to get an input from a keyboard. So now we ask the user enter the coefficient of x squared. So that's what we use the scan object.nestInt. So this is quadratic equation, as squared plus bs plus c. So we need to enter the value of a, b, and c. That's the coefficient of s squared and x plus the constant value c. Then we can solve this quadratic equation using quadratic formula. So next, we enter the b coefficient, then we enter the constant value. Now, quadratic formula, first we can find the discriminant. The discriminant will be b squared. So instead of writing b times b, we are using the math power method. So we have math.pow, b and 2, which means b squared. minus 4 times AC. Remember, in quadratic equation, college algebra, the formula will be b squared minus 4AC, the square root of it, over 2A, and minus b again. So root 1 will be minus b, but instead of writing minus b, we say minus 1 times b plus mat the square root. So the actual formula will be minus b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4AC over 2A. So first we do the b squared minus 4AC. Then it's a square root of it. So we use the mat again class dot square root method to find the square root of the discriminant, b squared minus 4AC. The answer we get, we add it to minus b, then we divide by 2 times a. So quadratic equation, we always get 2 answers. So we got root 1 and root 2. If the discriminant value is 0, then we get only 1 answer. If the discriminant value is negative, you cannot get square root of negative value, so there's no solution for the quadratic equation. Now, the main goal of this lectures is not about the college algebra, how to find a quadratic, how to solve quadratic equation, but it's about how we can use the math class in Java language. So anytime you are invoking any method of the math class, you have to start with the math class name. So math.square root, math.pow, which is a power. And there are so many methods, math.cosine, sine, etc. So this is our output. So that will be the conclusion of this lecture. So in this lectures, again, we learn in general how to use Java predefined classes. There are so many of them, but we picked some few, only 3 or 4. We went through the random class. We went through the math class. At least those are the 2 most common ones that are used. Also, of course, the scanner class, system, etc. These are all predefined classes that come with Java. Now, every predefined class have its own method, such as we saw. So the string class have to uppercase, concate, substring, etc. So again, wish everybody the best, and we're going to solve more lab work in class. Thank you.